It's something to do Saturday, and we're thinking spring. I'm gonna be decorating some eggs today. And egg decorating was always a big thing when I was growing up. We would decorate eggs and then we would have an egg hunt with them. And my father would always tell the story about how when he was a kid, somebody hid the egg up underneath the slot in the dining room table, and it sat there for months, and they didn't find it until it began to stink. And as a child, I always thought that was a humorous story, but as an adult, I found that kind of gross and terrifying. So when it got time for my kids to hunt eggs, we used plastic eggs. But then it kind of got that the egg decorating itself was kind of not fun anymore. You decorate the real eggs, they sit there, you eat them, and you're done. So we're going to kind of combine the two today. I'm going to take some plastic eggs. I'm going to show you some different fun things that you can do with them to decorate them, make them kind of fancy, either just for putting them out on your table as a pretty decoration, or if you're going to have an egg hunt to make it kind of extra fun. And I'll show you some other ideas if you're not going to use plastic eggs, of some things you might have around the house to make some really cool decorations. So run around, find some of your little pieces of crafty stuff. We will have eggs available for you in the vestibule to pick one up, because we are also having an egg decorating contest. If you pick one of these up and you decorate it all fancy, take a picture of it and then email it to us. We will enter it in an egg decorating contest. There's going to be prizes in each age category. Check that out. All the information is on our Facebook page and our website. But I'm going to show you how you're going to jazz these little plastic eggs up a little bit, or just kind of create your own. Got some cool ideas. So go round up some of your craft supplies, maybe some Sharpies or some pretty little sparklies, whatever you got, and we'll have some fun. Just make sure that you're using a paint. So a little spray paint will go a long way. Just make sure that you're using a spray paint that goes onto plastic. It will adhere much better. A little bit of spray paint and some inexpensive, or as I like to say, cheap stickers can transform your cheap little plastic eggs pretty quickly. You can personalize them, little monogram, and I didn't do anything but put some spray paint on there. Of course, I had to give the chalkboard. Good thing it's plastic eggs. And of course I had to try the chalkboard paint, because, you know, I'm a fan of that. Because it's just fun. So if you're looking for an interesting twist, chalkboard paint, and they do make it in other colors, so if you wanted to, you know, use it for your egg hunt and maybe write everybody's names on their eggs. So they're only allowed to find their own. They do make chalkboard paint in other colors. I just happen to have black and thought it would be fun, and it is. It's fun. So that's just one way to quickly transform your plastic eggs into something a little more awesome looking. And if you were thinking about picking up an egg for the egg contest, this is definitely a way to start out. Is a quick shot of spray paint. And remember, you can check out all the details of our egg decorating contest online. Just go to our website and click on the icon, pick up an egg in the vestibule, take it home, decorate it, send us a picture, and you'll be ready to rock. So different from chalkboard paint is chalk paint. And the really cool thing about this, other than its kind of different texture, is that this paint sticks to just about anything, so it's going to hold really good on your cheap plastic egg. The other fun thing about plastic eggs is they come apart, and that makes them really easy to kind of paint the whole thing rather quickly and pretty easily. So I'm just putting a coat of chalk paint, and chalk paint comes in all kinds of different colors, all kinds of different brands. Martha's got one out there. Everybody's got one. I really like the Waverly. They've got good paint in general. but any kind of chalk paint will do. And once you paint it up, then you can add some other colors or some other textures, which I'm going to show you when I get this one painted up. While you're waiting for your paint to dry, a couple other options you can do is bust out your glue gun. Make sure that you don't have a real high temp glue gun because that can melt your plastic eggs. And grab either some fun little sequins or some rhinestones, and you can just kind of hot glue some different designs onto your eggs. I actually even found this cool little set of a bunch of them already pre-stickied on the back at the Dollar Tree, because you know how much I like the Dollar Tree. And then you can get super fancy with your design. There's plenty to do more than one. And I took some sequins and just kind of glued them on so you can, again, keep it as fancy or simple as you want. With the sticky back, what's nice as opposed to the glue gun is actually little kids can do this. If you're using a hot glue gun, be careful, you might melt your fingertips off. But with the sticky backs, the kids can even use them. And if your kids are still into the traditional, you know, kind of decorating in the color, and you want something that's not quite as messy as egg dye, you can always resort to your Sharpies and add a little bit of your own design, kind of combine things maybe, so that you can add a little personalization. And again, we can go ahead and stick some other stuff on there. You can color and make designs. You know, so if they want to get creative and they still want to decorate some eggs, just grab some Sharpies and do that up. Or do a mix of the whole thing is kind of exciting. So I think that our paint is about dry on this one, so I'm going to go ahead and put the next layer of paint and let that dry, and maybe bedazzle a few more eggs. Sponge painted a little blue on there, not sure how I like it. But the other thing I'm going to do is a little bit of speckling, which sometimes turns out is a disaster for me, and sometimes it turns out kind of cool. So what you do is you simply wait for the dog to stop getting the drink, and you're going to take, really, Farkas, is that necessary? You're going to take your paint and put just a little blob of it and dip your toothbrush into it, and then make sure it's an old toothbrush, by the way. And then you're going to simply run your fingers across the brush and kind of splatter it onto the egg. So that's what I'm going to do now, and I'm just going to run it across there. And try not to get my egg to roll too much. And you want to be careful when you do this. I did this a while back with a painting where we had some foam board, and we laid down a stencil and then kind of, you know, flicked the brush around it. And it turned out really cool, but the paint got like everywhere. So there we go. Now we're getting somewhere. We're getting it everywhere. But as you can see, it splatters and it makes this really cool. I'm coming to show it to you. It makes this really cool kind of splattery design. I don't know how well you can see that. Of course, some of that's sponged on there, so I'll show you when I do the other one. And you can use a toothpick or popsicle stick or something like that rather than running your fingers across the brush. It's a little bit neater that way, but you know, just, you know, sometimes not that crazy. And I beat it up. And there you can kind of see the cool effect of speckling the eggs. So I know I said I wasn't going to use real eggs, but technically I'm only using the shell. So this is a really cool one, dates back a long time. We are going to actually take a nail, we're going to poke a hole in both the top and the bottom of the egg. You'll blow the insides of the egg out of the hole and you'll be left with, of course, the egg shell, which I have done here. And then I will take some of my favorite stuff here, Mod Podge, or as I like to call it, Mod Podge. You'll coat the egg a couple times, top, flip it over to the bottom, and the Mod Podge will actually work as an acrylic and kind of harden the shell. And once you have your initial coat of Mod Podge over top of it, we'll add some cool paper to it and Mod Podge over it again, and you'll end up with a really pretty and delicate little decoration. So let me show you how to take your nail and poke a hole in there. So once you've taken the insides out and you've put your first coat of Mod Podge on there, I'm going to put a second coat of Mod Podge on my egg in little strips, because then I'm going to add pieces of paper, and you could do them in long strips so that you end up with something like this. Or you can cut them into pieces and kind of make a collage sort of piece. You can just wrap it around, and you're just going to continue to paint the paper kind of onto the egg until you get it covered however you want it. And once I have it covered all of the way around and it's had a chance to dry, I'm going to go ahead and take my glossy Mod Podge and put another coat over top of the whole thing, just so that it's kind of shiny. It sort of keeps some of those edges that are popping up down a little bit, so that we keep as close to the egg and keep the form of the egg as possible, and it'll be nice and shiny when it dries. And one of the other things that I have done here is I took one of the eggs, actually took a couple of the eggs, and went ahead and dyed them. And now I'm just going to, now that the dye is on there, coat it with the glossy Mod Podge. Get that all the way around there so that we have that extra coating, just to make it a little less fragile, a little sturdier. And I'm also going to take one of these pretty strips of paper, maybe this one, maybe this one, I don't know. This one's nice and thin, and I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to wrap it right around the center into sort of a single band. And I'm going to let that dry, and then once it dries I'll go over it probably one more time so that my paper is stuck well to my egg, and then it's nice and shiny, because I like it shiny and pretty. That's not sticky quite right. Go ahead and glue that down now. And then once they're dry, they'll be pretty and shiny and just really cool. And the neat part about it is they can last forever. You don't have to worry about them rotting or getting yucky. You can leave them out and not have to worry about refrigerating them, and they just look pretty. And if you don't feel like doing it next year, you just bring the same ones out and use them again. And if that's not quite enough egg option for you, I've got one more. Whip up a little batch of salt dough. the recipe will be down in the comment section, because I do alter my recipe just a little bit from your standard salt dough recipe. I back off the water by about 2 tablespoons and actually mix in some Mod Podge or glue. I think that helps as the dough dries to keep it from being too crumbly. As the moisture leaves it, you know, it tends to kind of crumble, and sometimes your creations can fall apart, and that's very frustrating. So to kind of avoid that, I put a little extra adhesive in there by putting some Mod Podge in there. So you can actually use a plastic egg as a mold to kind of get your shape, or, you know, if you're artistic enough that you think you can just kind of sculpt it on your own. Whatever works best for you. I've kind of already destroyed what I had here. Didn't work the way I wanted it to. I think it overfilled a little bit. But you can simply, I did overfill it a little bit, so I'm going to take, oop, that might be too much. But you can just take your salt dough and put it into your egg, almost like a silly putty type of thing. And you can actually, because these are greased, you could leave this in there to let it dry, but it takes forever to dry, like days and days and days. So that works a little better. And then since you're gonna probably paint it or do something anyway, it really doesn't matter. So then these, you can dry in an oven on a very low temperature. If you have a dehydrator, you can put it in your dehydrator. But you'll want to do it like overnight or all day long. It takes quite a while to dry, but once it dries, then you have a really cool egg to decorate. You can paint. So once your salt dough eggs have dried out or hardened, they are ready to paint, and they hold paint quite nicely. You can make them really super cute. Once you paint them, I highly recommend that you put a clear coat over top of them. That will continue to help them from getting crumbly and kind of falling apart. But you can decorate them with paint or put some of the other fancy things like we did over here. You could even get a nice brown and make fake chocolate eggs, really trick somebody there. Kind of a mean trick, but kind of funny too. So again, Sharpies and stickers can really upgrade those plastic eggs really quickly, or a cool paint job and some stickers, or just some really cool paint job depending on what you're doing. It really takes them to the next level. Of course, you can always use the paper and the decoupage, and even use a real egg if you want to, or get fancy with some fun little decals or whatever you can find in your craft stash or at the dollar store. The most important thing is to have fun. So whatever you do for your egg hunt or your decorations, be creative and share them with me in the comments. I'd love to see what you guys did, because you guys are always way more talented than I ever dreamed of being. And also, if you enjoyed this video, make sure that you like, comment, and share so that your friends can become our friends, because we always want more friends. So until next time, I hope you had fun today. Stay safe, stay well, and I will see you real soon.